Hey there, everybody. This is Jaquel, your host of Back to the Basics of Health and Wellness podcast. On today's episode, I'll be talking to my dear friend, Janelle Hobson. We're going to be talking about the connection between food, environment, community, and health. Let's get into it. Don't focus on how much you eat. Focus on what you eat. Food matters.
Daddy, it's time to start your podcast.
Hey, Janelle, how is everything going?
Things are going great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me on your show.
Welcome to the show, Janelle. Welcome to the show.
I get a
round of applause for you. Yes. So, guys, Janelle is a Adjunct Professor of Food and Culture at Hudson Community College in New Jersey, and she's been teaching there on the college level for 6 years now. So, I must say, in this world of virtual learning, do you see anything crazy?
I have not seen anything crazy. I've seen some laughable moments. I know one of my students the other day, her kids were jumping on the couch behind her, like she had no idea. But I loved it. It was very funny, and I could relate because there's been times where my son will pop up and say, "Mommy, I want to say hey to your students." So, I totally relate, and it made me smile.
Absolutely.
That's the craziest thing. Although I have heard about the teachers complaining about parents. I don't know if that was
being half dressed and all that stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's why I had to ask the question. I'm like, you're a professor, so I got to ask the question because I know it is happening on a crazy level out there right now, and people are seeing some crazy things on these lives or on these platforms, the virtual platforms. So, as a professor of food and culture studies, what does that really entail? Like, if you can break down what you do for the listeners.
So I went to school. I studied the entire food chain, from the agriculture, how food is grown, distributed, processed, sold, marketed, consumed, waste, so from the seed all the way to the garbage dump. So all of that. Also, my course focuses more on like food history and how food is intertwined in our lifestyles, and how it develops our culture and how our culture has developed food. So we really talk about the relationship between human development and food.
Yes, people really, really need to know about that type of information, especially these days with all the GMOs that's flying around and that they putting on the foods and things like that. That's disturbing the gut health, disturbing the brain development and things of that nature. So that's a really good thing. So what have you ever watched Down to Earth with Zac Efron on Netflix?
No, I have not.
So
I've watched. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so they had this one episode, like they go all around the world and they go to different places and they talk about the foods in those different areas. One episode is about water, but on this particular episode, they were in Lima, Peru, and they have I never knew this even exists. They have a like a library, not even a library, like a facility where they hold seeds for potatoes. So if any natural disaster was to ever occur, or if war was to break out, they have like almost 8,000 different species of potato seeds where they can reproduce the crop at a moment's notice, which is fascinating.
So I haven't heard about the seed bank in Peru, but I do know, I think there's a seed bank in Colorado.
Okay.
And there's another place, I want to say in Europe, where they have a seed bank.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not surprised about Peru, and especially about potatoes, because potatoes originate from Peru. It's the Incan Empire. They are the reasons why potatoes got to Europe, because when the European conquistadors from Spain came over to South America, they're the ones that took the potato, the tomato, and other things back to Europe. People always associate potatoes with Ireland.
Okay.
Potatoes are native to South America. And like you said, you mentioned 8,000. So there are over 3,000, 4,000 varieties and types of potatoes.
Yes,
but because of our industrial food system here in America, we only know about 5 types of potatoes, because that's what grows fastest and gets to the market quick and is easy to sell.
Absolutely. And that's why I always encourage people to travel, because, you know, for me as a traveler, I see a lot of different foods. I see a lot of different cultures and all of that, you know, the communities and all of that good stuff. And a lot of people don't really know that there are other, you know, species or types of potatoes out there. There's like you said, 4,000 different types and species of potatoes. And, you know, all we know is like more about the russet in Idaho in America, you know, and and you know, it was also fascinating that they were in New York before they even went to Peru, and they went up to the Angry Orchard farm, and they were talking about how apples originated in Kazakhstan, and it was like mind blowing. I'm like, what? Yeah, it was like, they originated in Kazakhstan. So it's just a lot of different things people really don't know about food, and you, as a professor in food and culture, you have that knowledge and experience to let people know about all of that good stuff. So let's talk about environment. So, you know, what in this environment that we live in, what are like some of the things that we have to, I guess, pay attention to when it comes to food sourcing?
I would say know how your food is grown, know where it comes from.
Okay.
I think that's the most important thing in terms of food sourcing and environment, because you want to know how your food is grown, because whatever that your food ate and took in, that's what you're eating. So if your food was grown in nutrient-dense soil, then you're getting those nutrients. If your food is grown in soil that was treated with a lot of pesticides and insecticides because the nutrients weren't there, then that's what you're taking in. I would say this, for example, tomatoes. People buy tomatoes and they're from Florida. But in Florida, the soil is sand. There's no nutrients in sand.
Wow.
So in order to grow those tomatoes, there's no nutrients, and then you're just spraying the insecticides and pesticides. They're picking the tomatoes when they're green, and then they're spraying them with ethylene to turn them red. So when you get to the tomatoes get to the market, they're not even ripe. And then people wonder why the tomato has no flavor.
Wow. Because
it wasn't, it was grown. And so if you're getting a tomato from Florida, it was grown in a soil that has no nutrients.
Wow.
So and if you go to your local farmer's market and you get a tomato that was grown in New Jersey, or you get an heirloom tomato, in the summertime that was grown in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, you'll notice that it has more flavor to it than that tomato that you get in, some other time that was grown in Florida or was shipped from California.
Yes, yes.
So, you just be careful, just be aware of how your food is grown, how it gets to you. But since you mentioned environment, another thing that I want to touch base on with you about is food waste and how that affects our environment. And a lot of people are thinking about food waste and saying, we can get it to other people who don't have food. But you think about food waste and food scraps, like that avocado peel or that banana peel that you're throwing out, or the apple core. You're throwing it in your garbage can that is a plastic bag. It goes to the garbage dump. It creates methane gas. Methane gas leads to the CO2 in the environment and the breakdown of our ozone layer. So I really would like to encourage people to compost and, find a place in your area that does food composting, or, if you have the yard for it, the time, you can compost on your own.
Beautiful, beautiful. Compost, people. Compost. Save the.
Compost,
Yes,
yes,
let's try to save this place. We got to live here. You know, a lot of people are
yes.
like, "Oh, I don't care. We're gonna die anyway." But you got to live here for right now. So you might as well make the
And
best of it. And make it clean and healthy.
stop drinking bottled water.
Yes, yes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I like that. I like that because yeah,
Waste in the environment.
yeah,
And it's not good for you anyway.
yep.
Stop drinking bottled water.
Yep, yep. Especially purified water too, because for the people that don't know who buy purified water, what purified water does is it steals the nutrients that's already in your body to make it a good water for you to drink. So it's actually snatching all of those good nutrients that you may have in your body, and it's snatching it just to make it a good, drinkable water for you. So stick to the spring waters and the alkaline waters and things of that nature. But for people who's not really doing their research on alkaline water, it may not be good for you at certain points of life. So just do your research before you go and try to consume an abundance of alkaline water, which a lot of people are doing. When it comes to community, J Squared, let's talk about it. It's your food hub, and what you're looking to do is connect with some Black farmers out there, and tell the people about what you're doing out there.
So several years ago, Jaquel this is part of his career coaching part people don't know about.
I know, right?
So I mentioned to you that I had set up this business several years ago, right when I came out of graduate school at NYU. Set up the whole business plan, but got sidetracked. Relationship, having a child, and the business got pushed to the side. So time to revive it. Hopefully my website is still good, and just trying to do a whole different take. So. My new approach is hopefully to connect Black farmers with Black-owned restaurants to supply them with their produce and vegetables. So that is the new goal that I will be working on in the upcoming months. Thanks to you, Jaquel.
Yes, and that's a wonderful thing because farm to table is the way to go. That's just what it is. A lot of our produce and food comes from miles and miles and miles away, has to take, trips by ocean on vessels and trips by airplane and things like that. And Janelle, she wants to connect some local farmers with some restaurants to bring that straight from the farm, which is probably hours away from you versus, lots of hours and cut that travel time down so you're getting fresh foods when you go into these restaurants. So kudos to you. That's a very beautiful thing, and that's going to help the guts of a lot of Americans out here. and it's going to give, on top of that, it's going to give people nutrients dense foods. It's going to give people those vitamins and minerals that they so desperately need in today's society. Yep. So that's a very, very good thing.
And hopefully just to bring some dollars to the Black community as well.
Okay. Yeah. You got to circulate that money.
The whole thing, we got to circulate the dollar within our community to promote generational wealth.
Absolutely. Because we're losing, because, we buy things that we so don't need. Health is the wealth. Like people say that, and I guess it's like a cliche term. Health is wealth now because during I guess with COVID going on right now, everybody they wanted to be healthy, but now I start to see that declining. Quietly. It's starting to decline. So that's why I bring people like yourself on and doctors on to explain to my listeners about health being the real wealth, and it's not about, what you're wearing and how much money you got in your pocket. It's about what you're actually putting into your body and the connection that you have with the earth and the things around you. So very, very good stuff. Very good stuff. So what's going on?
What you said, sorry. Can I just say this real quick? What you said reminded me of something my mother used to say to me when I was younger. She would always just say to me, "Oh, as long as I have my health, I'm independent. I'm like independently wealthy or something like that." And I
Absolutely.
was like, "Mommy, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
Mm-hmm.
And now, when you say that, it makes, just reminded me of it, because as long as you have your health,
Absolutely.
that is your wealth, because you're not, it's just not for you. You're passing it on. The way you live your life, you're passing that on to your children. So you're not just passing on, material things. You're passing over on, values and lifestyles as well.
Absolutely. Like there you go. Ding 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 ding. Lifestyles. Yeah. So what are you like, what are you teaching in school right now? Like what's the lesson that you're going over right now?
So the lesson that I taught this past Monday was, we taught, it was like the first chapter, just because it's the beginning of the semester, but we talked about hunters and gatherers,
Mm.
and that whole lifestyle. And what I did was I put a modern twist on it, because I said, you know what? Who are our gatherers today?
Mm-hmm.
Who's getting our food, to the stores? 'Cause a lot of people, they don't. I say, well, where, you had this for dinner. Well, where did it come from?
Yes.
And no one, was the store. But before that, I'm trying to get my students in the mindset of thinking beyond just going to the store picking something off the shelf. They're
Mm-hmm.
thinking beyond, the what their food was before
Yeah.
it got to the store shelf. Uh, so, saying, the gatherers who talked about the laborers in the field that get our food, especially now, in the whole pandemic and the crisis. These are still essential workers, and these are people who are coming from Central America, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, to come and work in the United States
Mm-hmm.
and pick our produce. So we spoke about the migrant laborers in California, Washington State, Oregon, who are gathering food amongst the fires, the forest fires on the West
Yes.
Coast.
Yes. Yes.
And then we also spoke about in New Jersey, where I live, and how migrant workers are coming, to New Jersey, and what steps are being taken, because people, Jersey's called the Garden State, but people don't see us as a Garden State. They always think of the oil refineries and the pollution
Yes.
in New Jersey, but we are the third largest grower of peaches and tomatoes. We are the largest grower in the Northeast for blueberries and cranberries.
Mm.
So a lot of food comes out of New Jersey.
Absolutely.
And thinking about, well, who's picking our food? These migrant workers, are they being protected in regard to COVID-19, and what steps are being taken to protect them? And just seeing how little is being done,
Mm-hmm.
or if something is being done on one farm, it's not being done on another. And there's no
Absolutely.
way to enforce the rules that have been set in place. There's no penalties for these companies who aren't following the procedures and the policies to keep the migrant laborers safe.
Yes, yes, yes. Shout out to all the migrant workers out there that's putting food on y'all table that y'all don't
Yes,
even really, y'all don't pay attention to and y'all don't give credit to. Y'all just saying, oh, oh, I got food on my table, but how did it get there? Like, look, like really, even with your kids at night, talk about, when you sit down and eat, talk about where your food came from, the source, how it got to your plate. I know a lot of people will be surprised to say, you know what? I really don't even know where this came from. I can't pinpoint where my food came from. But if we were to go to these local farms and help out, and give our time and bring our kids there and grow and seed and till the land and just help out, that will be a great service for the future ahead, in the kids that are coming up behind us, because that's something that they can get into, and I hear a lot about the racism that goes on in with the farm industry, where they don't let Black people come onto the farms and help out and things like that. So, at that cost, it's like you got to go and do your own thing. Find some land with some friends or coworkers and say, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. You're going to grow a tomato patch in your backyard. I'm going to do some corn in my backyard. She's going to do zucchini in her backyard. He's going to do squash. And then guess what? That's a collective right there where you guys can share those foods. And it's and don't look at the cost of it. Just look at, we are sharing natural foods, putting it on, our neighbors and our family members' plates to make everybody, gut healthy, gut strong, and live a vibrant lifestyle. What do you think about that, Janelle?
It's great. And another thing I always say to my students to get further along in our lessons, when we just think about what things people invest in. And
talk about it.
And people will invest in a computer, they'll invest in a phone, invest in shoes, watches, jewelry, handbags, cars, but they won't invest in their health and their food. And it's like, make that choice. It's like, okay, I asked my students, I said, would you pay 5 cents more for fruit or for, tomato or vegetables, knowing that migrant worker that picked your food, that gathered your food, is going to have a better paycheck and a better lifestyle? Mm-hmm. Would you invest in that? And, and then invest in your health or, some shoes, Yeah. And, it's like, think about it, long-term investment, those shoes that are $500 are going to last you a lifetime, but you put out that extra dollar for food that was grown without the pesticides and the insecticides. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay the dollar more, knowing that migrant worker is getting a higher pay and is able to, to afford something better for themselves.
Absolutely.
And invest in your health, invest in your community, or you're going to invest in something that's not going to. You're not going to get a return on your investment.
Absolutely not. And most of these clothes that we wear, the shoes that we wear, the sneakers that we spend all of this money on, we don't really understand how cheap this stuff really is. It's cheap. And when they throw a name on it, when they throw a logo on it, that's when the property value of that goes up, because it comes down to demand. And if people could really just wrap their heads around that, they will say, you know what, all of these sneakers in my closet is really not that worth it. Maybe I'm more important. Maybe I need to put that into myself, by way of going to a gym, or by way of, investing in a rototiller, or investing in some seeds, some heirloom seeds and things like that, where I can grow my own vegetables and grow and create my own little patch of farmland in my backyard, But, it comes down to the priority in life, and we all have issues with that word. What's the priority? Is the priority your health, or is the priority your the material things that they throw and program us to like at the end of the day? So so people, just please, I know I always say this and go over this stuff, but just step back for a second, step back and really just try to figure out what's more important in your life. Figure out what's more important, because you are the most important thing on this planet. Am I right, Janelle?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So, Janelle, can you give out your information? So, listen, guys, if you know any farmers, small, medium, large farmers out there in this great USA who is willing to work with Janelle and trying to make this dream a reality, and to help her out with working with her and her company to have some farm to table foods out there, just have them reach out to Janelle, or just reach out to me, and I could put them in contact with Janelle. But I want Janelle to give out her information so people can get in contact with her.
via my email, which is my name, Janelle, 8742@gmail.com. That's JA, and it's in Nancy, ELLE, 8742@gmail.com. Or you can call or text me at 908-251-9714. Once again, 908-251-9714.
Beautiful, beautiful. And guys, you already know what I'm going to say. It's going to be in the show notes.
And just one more thing.
Go ahead.
J Square Food Hub is a B corporation. That means a benefit corporation. It's a for-profit company for good.
Good. Yes. And Janelle also, she's going to use those fruits and vegetables as well. We talked about this before. She's going to use that to give to the senior citizens homes and sell it at the senior citizen home and things like that, to give back. And so our seniors and our elderly can have fresh fruits and vegetables, so they don't have to go to these supermarkets and get all these canned goods that aren't healthy for them. I see so many of our seniors going to the dollar store to buy food, and it's absolutely crazy because they put so much hard work and dedication into what they did, into their work, and now they have to go to dollar stores to buy food, which is absolutely crazy. So, please, if anybody know any farmers out there who's looking to help out with Janelle's business, that'd be greatly appreciated if you could get them in contact with her or myself. Yes. Janelle, at the end of my programs, I always like to see if my guests can give out 2 tips on health and wellness. Can you give me that?
Okay, so the first tip for health and wellness is know where your food comes from. Know your food source. Mm-hmm. Do some research and investigating on how and where your food gets to you. The second tip is to invest in yourself, invest in your health, and not just physical health, but mental health as well.
Absolutely.
So, and spiritual health.
Absolutely.
That is the second tip, because you are no good to anyone else unless you take care of yourself first.
Talk about it, Janelle. I appreciate you, and I thank you for coming on today's show. It was wonderful to have you and talk about the community and environment and all things that deal with food. So I definitely appreciate you, and I would love to have you on again to talk about some more of what you know.
Thank you. I look forward to coming and speaking with you more. Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. And we'll definitely, work on getting that business back to where it needs to be, and getting those farmers out to you, so y'all can, do the groundwork and make sure people get these natural and healthy foods that they so desperately need. All right.
I appreciate your friendly push.
You got it. Thanks again for coming on, Janelle. We appreciate you, and I will talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Take care.
All right. Hey, guys, I would like to thank you all for joining myself and Janelle Hobson on today's episode of Back to the Basics of Health and Wellness Podcast. If you like this podcast, please leave a comment and tell a friend about it. And, hopefully they'll listen. But until next time, enjoy, be well, and continue to make the lifestyle change that lasts. Have a great one, everybody. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. Health is wealth.